All right, welcome back. This is episode. Fuck's sake. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Brothers edition of the Inside MMA podcast, where my brothers and I get together and we talk about the latest what's happenings in UFC,
MMA, basically.
MMA, just boxing, all that stuff. So
Combat sports.
yeah,
in general.
just real quick before we get into it, I want to just give a little shout out to the Manimal doc. The Manimal doc is coming soon. The Manimal doc is going to be the first full-length documentary about John Beneducci the world has ever seen. John Beneducci is a fighter who fights under Ray Longo and Matt Serra out in New York and Long Island, and he has an incredible story. So it's the first documentary that we're going to be bringing to you guys, just as a media company covering MMA. So MMA and combat sports in general. So there's after John, we've got plans to do even bigger people and tell even bigger stories. But John's gonna start us off with the bang. So just that's what is bringing you this show today. So just keep your eyes out for that. Josh just started school, so Josh can't be here.
Yep.
For this episode. Zach is in starting community college soon, so Zach has a little more free time. And
yes, sir.
here we are. So, what's been happening?
All I know is DC and McGregor been getting into it a little bit on Twitter. I saw that. That's pretty crazy.
Conor.
I don't know why McGregor has beef with DC. Can't figure that out.
You know, Conor got offended from
I
DC
think because he's like
saying that Dustin checked the kick. Conor has this whole narrative going around that he's trying to push, where he's denying that he wants the narrative to be that it was a doctor's stoppage. The fight was only stopped because he broke his leg. And if DC said that Dustin checked his kick.
Well,
so if
that's still true.
If Dustin checked his kick and that's what broke Conor's shin, then that means it's like not a doctor's stoppage. Dustin broke Conor's shin, which means Dustin effectively won himself the fight by doing that. So Conor's pushing hard against that narrative, and in doing that, he called DC a fat drunk bitch.
Wow, that's just so stupid. I mean, I don't know. That's just dumb.
I'm waiting for that noise to go.
That's just straight up trash.
So the funny thing is like, I mean, I guess the question is, do we think Dustin broke Conor's leg, or do we think Conor's leg was broken by?
I think it was already broken. Like, it was already probably fractured going into the thing. I mean, he may have. I mean, it didn't look like a clean check by any means, like, rewatching it. But it did look like he was kicking, like, with improper form, to be honest. He was kicking with his foot instead of his shin and his, like, leg. Like, that's how you break your foot. And he broke his ankle.
Yeah.
So I think it could have been a combination of kicking in the wrong spot and already having a damaged, like, ankle going into the fight, and he was kicking improperly, and he could have maybe checked it. Like, all of that could have been true.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you have a weak leg going into a fight, and then
Chris Weidman clearly had his leg was damaged before the fight.
Right. So it's interesting because hundreds of thousands of checks have happened in the UFC where a defender checks the leg kick, and it's only 4 or so of those times has that resulted in a completely split shin bone. Conor, Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman, and then there's one more guy that I've heard about. I can't draw his name right now, but it's just interesting because you'd have to think these guys are coming into the fight injured if it's that rare.
Yeah. I mean, Conor showed pictures of his injury. So I think he was injured. I mean, I
Did you
don't
hear Dustin's theory on that?
know.
Dustin basically was like curious if he had those pictures already prepared in case something happened.
Probably.
Like,
I mean, I don't know what his overall point to that would be. I mean,
to have a built-in excuse.
it's not like Dustin truly beat him.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. Like, would you feel good about that win?
That's the interesting thing. And in his interview with Helwani, Dustin said like he didn't know how he felt. He felt like he won, but he didn't. He felt better after the second fight than after the third fight.
Well, clearly he got a clean knockout.
Yeah.
Second fight. I mean,
Like, so
I
there's. It seems like there's clearly some kind of.
they gotta like officially end it. Like, I don't think the trilogy is like done.
I don't know if they should fight a fourth time.
I think they should. I
I-
think people would want to see it, and I think Conor wants it. And I mean, Dustin will always take that fight.
I don't think he always will. I don't think it's just guaranteed that Conor is entitled to that fight against
I mean,
the top guy in the sport.
Dana wants it.
Yeah,
So,
but if Dustin doesn't want it or if the fans don't want it, then Dana's not going to do it. Dana basically follows the fans. He puts on the fights that the fans want to
the
see.
fans will always want it. Dustin will always take that fight, and McGregor wants it. So it's gonna happen.
So I think the fans want
It's a
it.
money fight.
I think the fans want it. But I've heard talks in like the other MMA media. I've heard talks around the MMA media that certain people don't think the fans want it. And that if they probably have a better pulse on it than I do, obviously.
who?
Chael.
Okay.
For one.
He said they don't want it.
He's like, nobody wants this fight. It doesn't make sense, really.
I don't know.
So I don't. Night.
All right.
Love you. Like, if the fans, I don't know. I feel like
I think most fans are like casual fans and would always want to see that. I mean,
I don't know, because I think casual fans think that Conor just got his ass beat.
no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Pretty much everyone in the media thinks Conor got his ass beat. And those are retired fighters who know more about the sport.
No one even listens to the media. Like, most people don't listen to Ariel Helwani, or people like
A lot of people do.
most casuals just tune in to watch the fight and don't like pay attention.
That's like casual fans.
yeah.
But not.
They just think he like broke his leg, and that's like what happened. No one most casuals don't like listen to what Chael Sonnen says. That's like what like hardcore fans do.
But here's the thing, bro. Like, those guys get like hundreds of thousands of views, sometimes
there's
millions.
hundreds of thousands of hardcore fans.
Yeah, that's true.
But that doesn't compare to like the probably like 10 million people who are watching that fight.
10 million.
Yeah.
I don't
Probably
think,
more.
I don't think 10 million people watch that fight.
I mean, there were like 2 million pay-per-view buys, but at every pay-per-view event, there's like 10 people watching.
There weren't 2 million for this last fight.
It was like 1.8.
It was like 1.1.
No, 1.8.
I don't think so.
I guarantee it. It was 1.8 million.
Okay.
And it's not like for every one pay-per-view, there's just one person watching it. We had
That's
like
true. I don't think it was
here.
1.8 though.
It was.
Let's look it up.
Know your facts, my guy.
True. Oh, damn. You're right.
Yep.
Reportedly sold 1.8 million pay-per-views. That's more than the rematch.
The second highest pay-per-view of the UFC.
How much do you think Dustin got paid?
Probably like 5 million. I don't know, but there's at least 10 million people watching that fight.
Yeah, probably.
So,
plus streamers.
Yeah.
Okay, so at least 10 million people watched the fight.
And probably most of them are just casuals because it was McGregor. Like,
yeah, a lot of people who probably don't follow the sport that well just watch McGregor.
Yeah. So probably most people would want to watch that again.
Didn't Nate versus Jorge Masvidal do 1.3 million?
I don't know.
Because that's pretty incredible. It
I
I
feel like the last pay-per-view, like UFC 265, was like did like 300,000 or something.
that was the one that just happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the weakest card on the
Yeah,
roster.
and how did I don't I feel like that didn't sell anything.
It probably did like 100,000 buys.
That's weak as hell. Dude, Khabib versus Gaethje, the pay-per-view where Khabib retired, only sold like 600,000.
Not surprised.
That is crazy considering how big Khabib is.
He's not like I don't. He's big, but it's not like Gaethje's a big draw.
Speaking of Justin Gaethje's I just watched his fight versus Tony Ferguson again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I think like he could beat pretty much anybody.
Really?
Bro, that motherfucker pieced up Tony.
Yeah.
He
He
fucked Tony up. And that was the first loss Tony had in like 14 fights or some shit. Like he pieced up Tony. And now he's about to face Chandler. And they say Chandler's chin is pretty weak.
hmm.
I'm kind of concerned for my boy Chandler.
Yeah, that's a interesting fight. Just because he's been inactive, it's like, who do you take?
Gaethje has.
Yeah, I mean Chandler's been fighting frequently.
Right.
It's hard to take. I feel like the odds are gonna be really close.
Yeah.
I don't know who wins that though. I feel like Gaethje can pull that off for sure. Because he's a bigger guy.
Gaethje's just like I feel like his bones are made out of like
He's just
titanium.
like a rough guy. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like he's been just dragged in the dirt his whole life, and he's just like still on top.
Well, he was like undefeated in the World Series of Fighting, which is now the PFL. Then he came to the UFC and kind of like transformed his game because he was just like getting into like brawls all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you saw it in the Tony fight pretty much. He like learned how to like not get his ass kicked in a fight. Like
He'd like
he would
sacrifice
he would
himself.
win he would like he came into the UFC and like beat guys up, but he took a lot of damage. He learned how to like not take as much damage and he learned how to like fight a smarter fight, and you saw him just destroy Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
So like
Tony's
he's
old though. He's like probably retiring.
yeah, I mean, but like my point is Justin Gaethje's like probably at the best in his head that he's ever been. And then I mean Michael Chandler's just a legend at this point.
Did you see the Chandler versus Eddie Alvarez fight?
I haven't seen it.
That is such a good fight.
Really?
That is such a good fight. That's probably one of the best fights to ever happen.
Really?
Yes.
Where did you watch it? YouTube?
I just saw it on YouTube, I think, and it was such a back and forth like brawl.
What about it was so?
Like Eddie would have his moments, Chandler would have his moments, and it would just go back and forth, and then ended up Chandler winning, like knockout, I think.
I thought Eddie won that fight. And then
I think it was Chandler.
I read that Eddie won the fight, and then
No, Chandler won that.
this is probably gonna be you being right again.
I'm like 99% sure Chandler won that. Maybe they fought more than once, but for sure Chandler won.
Yeah, Chandler won
Yeah.
by submission. Bruh, yeah. But here's the thing. I call me a casual, but I don't really know too much about Gaethje's game on the ground.
He's supposed to have a good ass game on the ground, but he never uses it.
Well, a lot of guys
He was like a wrestler in college.
Gaethje was?
Yeah.
A lot of guys I know Chandler. Chandler has a great ground game. He was like a All-American wrestler at Mizzou. And a lot of guys use their wrestling, like a lot of guys who are great at wrestling, like basically use that as a way to keep opponents on the feet.
Yeah.
Because if I'm the best wrestler in the UFC, no guy's gonna try to take me down. Because if we get on the ground, I'm just gonna dismantle you. So if I'm really good on my feet too, I have the advantage just by you knowing how good I am at wrestling.
Yeah. It's like a
You
mental thing.
Yeah, like, and you just won't even. I'll eliminate your whole ground game. So that's why guys like Khabib could dominate so
That's what
well.
happened when Khabib fought McGregor.
Yeah,
McGregor was still so worried about the takedown. That's when he got rocked with the right hand by Khabib in the second round.
yeah.
He was so worried. He was just thinking about the takedown, and then he just got.
It's so weird to think about like how on top of the world Conor was. Like in that Eddie fight, he just like I just watched the detail episode with DC breaking down Conor McGregor's game, and like that man was so freaking good. Like
He was so precise.
he just it's in that Eddie fight, it was like it all came together to like I mean
You
it was already there, but like it was just so perfect and beautiful.
you remember like in the McGregor documentary, like how he was training, like for the Aldo fight,
Yeah,
like with that movement coach, where he was like doing all
yeah.
those weird movements, but
Ito
like
Portal, he's like a
I
legend.
don't know what his name is, but
Yeah,
he was doing all these weird movements and like balance beam like in the park and stuff.
yeah.
And then I think that's why he was so like precise. And
I
then he like lost that
I
like
think
element to his game now.
I think it was the total focus on MMA. Like Connor's so talented that if he focuses on one thing, he succeeds at it.
Yeah, he's kind of all over the place with his whiskey and
Yeah.
his kids.
It's just like
The br-
impossible to
his
be like it's impossible to win against guys who 95% of their time in in their career is dedicated to fighting, and you're like fighting is like 10% of your revenue. You're not going to fuck with these guys. It's just one of those sports. It's
I
not like
mean,
baseball where
do you think
the top guys are the guys who get paid the most.
do you think McGregor gets another win in the UFC ever?
I mean, he'll get other wins. I just don't think unless he stops doing all his other stuff and completely rededicates himself, he has a chance. I don't think he
Does
has a
he ever get another W in in the UFC?
yes, but I don't think he ever wins another title. I don't think he's ever the same guy unless
Yeah.
unless he stops doing all his other shit.
I mean, so that means no.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
he's
mean,
not going to
because
do
why
that.
would you?
He's not going to do that.
I mean, we want him to, but
I don't really care. I don't. I think I'm like I don't root for anyone really because like now I'm more of like a commentator or like a media guy.
mhm.
So it's not like like I just want to see greatness.
Yeah, you're just like a fan of the sport.
I'm not like a fanboy anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's different than because Connor got us into the sport, like most people nowadays,
I mean,
and just like,
it's just like you gotta just think of it like whoever's the best is gonna win.
right.
So I mean,
I mean, I think,
you know,
oh, that's another thing I wanted to bring up. Remember how Connor called out Ali Aquinta?
yeah. Well, not he didn't call him out.
He was like, I'd like to fight him at some stage, like one of those
Sure,
in the lead up to the rematch against Poirier, the first
maybe.
the first
I don't
rematch.
know.
He called him out, and I was excited about it because I'm
Sure.
friends with guys in that camp, so it would be cool to like go film that or something. But the I was thinking that might be if Al comes back.
Is he? Is that a thing? Is he gonna come back?
I don't, from what I've heard, probably not. But
Oh really?
yeah, because it's just like his injury is not really up to speed
Huh.
where it should
And he's
be.
making money in the real
Yeah,
estate.
I mean, not to speak on. I don't really know what's going on with him. I've heard he's probably not coming back. But I was thinking like that would be a guy at that level would be a good tune-up fight for Conor. But like
He's not doing
I
that.
don't think Conor's fighting anybody like
He's not doing
that's
a
not
tune-up
top
fight.
tier.
Yeah, he's not.
But here's how many fights do you have left without winning?
I don't think he doesn't want to do that.
I know. I'm just saying like he could probably take 2 more L's against top tier guys before people are like, okay, bro, we get it. Like,
you never know. I mean, it depends on how you lose. Like, if you just lost like that again, like an injury, it's different. But if he gets knocked out 2 more times, then it's like, yeah. But if he puts up hard fights, like, and he's competing, it's different.
well, Tyron Woodley put up a hard competitive fight
No,
against,
he didn't.
yeah, in his last one.
No, he didn't. He looked terrible. He got his ass beat. He didn't win one round. He didn't like the last like 15 rounds or something of his like career.
Really?
He didn't win.
I heard that I didn't watch the fight, but I heard that he
No, he got his ass whooped.
really.
Yeah, he sucks. You like an MMA.
Well, he don't say he sucks.
He mean
He's a legend.
well, he sucks compared to other people.
He's not where he was.
I mean, Kamaru Usman kind of ended his career.
Speaking of Kamaru, Conor called out Kamaru Usman on Twitter. Should I pull up the tweet and read it?
Yeah, he said he's gonna win the 170-pound bout. I think he would get his ass beat in that fight. Unless he gets like a crazy knockout like he did against Cowboy.
That would not happen, bro.
You never know.
So Conor he tweeted out that he's gonna Billy strut his way into a title shot after he recovers from this injury, and obviously he was talking about Dustin Poirier, but then somebody tweeted at Conor and said, "What's it like to spark people unconscious in 3 different weight divisions?" And Conor responded, "Tremendous. I love this record. If I fight for the 170-pound title, I will spark him too. That would be the fastest KO in UFC title fight, 13 seconds. Most knockdowns in a UFC title fight, 5. Then another knockout in a UFC title fight. 3 title fights, 3 knockouts, 3 new records. It's right there." So Conor was obviously talking about Kamaru Usman, saying he'd knock him out at 170.
That's a hard sell. I don't know about that one.
Bruh.
I think
you couldn't even beat Dustin Poirier, who walks around at 180 pounds. Kamaru Usman walks around right under 200 pounds. I was just listening to an interview of his. He walks around right under 200 pounds. Conor probably walks around at 175 after a cheat day. Like full
Really?
of, like
I don't
probably,
think
you know,
so. I don't even think that.
like if he binge eats for 3 days, he might be 175. Fucking no way, dude.
Yeah. That fight will never happen.
How do you even?
I don't think.
It's almost delusional.
I think, dude, I don't think you'd even take that seriously.
But why? What? Like
It's just like he's just trying to get us to talk about it.
he's like lost the sauce though. If he did that 2 years ago, it would have been so cool.
I don't know.
But he's lost that mystique where it's like even worth
Well,
caring about.
I just think he's just talking out of his ass. Like,
Yeah,
I think he even knows he's like full of crap with that.
Do you think he's like worried about losing his like place in MMA, or do you think he's just having fun?
I don't think at this point he cares as much about it, or like it matters to him just because he's so like well off.
But like the way he spends money, like he just bought a Lamborghini yacht. Like he's always wearing expensive clothes, all these cars, all these houses. He's traveling all the time. Like I wonder like if he's like spends a lot of money and he's worried that it'll run out if he doesn't have the UFC to like keep him relevant and keep him selling and keep him making, big fights and shit. Because there's
I
a
don't
certain
know,
point, like
cause like
the
at
thing with
35,
athletes.
he says he's gonna be a billionaire.
I mean, okay,
So
so
I don't think he's worried about money at all.
I don't
To be
think he's.
honest,
Why? How can you just sit like? Why do you think he's gonna be a bit? What's he gonna do that makes him a billionaire? He already
I
sold
don't
Proper
know,
12.
but you never know.
It. My point is, if you're winning, if you're Conor McGregor, right, and you have this whole brand, he's made all his money off of his ability to win fights and be that guy who is that good. So when you lose that marketing engine that drives all your other businesses. Like you lose your like Proper 12. Like think about it. If Michael Jordan wasn't so goated, his shoes wouldn't be the highest selling shoes 20 years after he retired. You know what I mean? If Conor, if like, let's say Conor had like a Khabib type legacy where he was like in that GOAT conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's not really a UFC GOAT, but if you're Conor McGregor level famous, and then you have that, he kept fighting in the UFC and he kept winning and he really established himself as one of the top 5 or 6 people to ever fight in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And then he retires. Proper 12 never stops selling. Nothing ever stops selling that's attached to his name.
Good point.
So it's,
I just don't think he's worried. Like I have nothing to base off. You still can't say he's worried about money.
I mean, no.
I mean,
I don't think you can be worried about money if you have like $200 million. Also, I don't think they tax in Ireland. I think they have some weird thing where like,
well, he makes his money in the U.S.
well,
or like the UFC money.
I still think if he's getting if his primary like if he's claiming his money in Ireland, I don't think he might be able to, because a lot of companies do that where like
Maybe.
they send all their money to Ireland so it doesn't have to get taxed. Like Apple does that. Like a lot of I think Amazon does that because that's how Ireland, like that's their shtick. Like they don't tax anybody, so a lot of people send their money there and put it through their bank system and stuff, and it keeps their economy afloat. Like that's their selling point. But anyway, I digress. Last week on the episode, we talked about if Khabib and GSP should fight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and something I didn't even think about is,
That would be the ultimate comeback fight for both of them.
yeah, I mean, that would be cool. I don't think Khabib's interested anymore, but let's say in a hypothetical world they did do that, right? That would probably be the perfect time to open up a 165 division because you got a 150-pound,
Yeah.
155-pound division.
I think it should go like 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, 95, 205.
205, and then heavyweight.
Yeah. That would be sick.
There's
More weight divisions, more titles, more title fights.
probably more fighters,
I don't know. I mean, I think it would just split up. Like,
probably more double champs.
yeah, but then it's also like kind of fake.
I mean, boxing does that.
I get, but that's also why kind of boxing sucks.
That's not why boxing sucks. Boxing sucks because
I mean,
of the politics of it. It's,
I don't know. I think I do get why some people are like boxing sucks because there's just so many titles. It doesn't really mean anything.
well, there's 3 different belts in circulation for every weight class.
I don't know.
Like there's like way more time. If you have one UFC belt and add a few more weight classes, I think you don't really stand to lose anything there.
Yeah.
But
I don't think they'll ever do it.
it's kind of the same thing though, like as if they made a 4-point line in the NBA, or like in baseball if they like reduced baseball's a better example. If they made the season like 82 games instead of 164, or 81 games instead of 162, then all the guys who had like, you wouldn't really be able to compare stats from now versus like back in the day when because
How
the
does that
seasons
compare to
would
the
be different. Like
165-pound division?
it's like if you had a double champ,
Yeah.
if you had more double champs because they open up more divisions and it's more accessible to be a double champ, then somebody being a double champ now wouldn't be the same as them being a double champ then. But I guess then you could probably have like people with 3 belts at a time.
I think that'll happen at some stage.
Like
Like that Henry Cejudo, I feel like could have done that.
he had the 125 and the 135 and then he retired.
I feel like he could easily beat Volkanovski.
You think?
Yeah.
He's so little though.
So is Volkanovski. They're
I
both
guess I
very
haven't.
small. Where do you think that fight goes? Brian Ortega versus Volkanovski.
Honestly, not really.
I think Volkanovski wins that because he beat Max Holloway twice.
If you beat Max Holloway twice, then you're probably. If you beat Max Holloway twice, then you're probably the best in the division.
Well, he is. He is the champ.
Right. Like you're probably not. It's hard to sell that you'd beat that somebody who hasn't done that would beat you unless you're just like old and washed up. But that's not Volkanovski.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Sean O'Malley came out and basically tweeted like along the lines of speaking from his point of view, I get paid the same amount whether I fight the number 1 guy in the division or somebody you've never heard of. So the best thing for my career is to fight unranked guys and collect my bag. And when the UFC wants to pay me more, then I'll go fight guys who challenge me more.
What do you think of that?
I was thinking about this earlier, and I think it's honestly smart. And I think that's what the UFC wants him to do.
Yeah, build him out more. Just because he's kind of like an up and coming star. Like if he loses, he loses. I think a significant like. There's more to lose when you do it that way. Like if you lose to like a nobody, then you kind of.
But he's smoking all these guys.
I know. I'm saying like if he does lose, I mean he did technically lose.
He lost to Chito Vera, so that was the thing. He lost to Chito Vera, and that was like the first real opponent he faced. So it kind of like sent him back down a little bit. But he got this injury that's put him out for like a year or two. And now he's like back climbing his way back up. So I think the best thing for him to do is while he's on this contract, I think he's getting paid like $280,000
a fight
per fight, which is more than like top ranked guys.
Damn.
So like I feel like he should.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I saw it. I mean that's what I saw in like those infographics that say what every fighter got paid. So take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But he's getting paid like a lot of money. Plus, the more fights you give him that don't damage him, the longer his career is, the more money everybody involved gets to make, and then the more fans he gets to build. But so like if he comes into fighting top 15 guys in the 135-pound division with a big even bigger fan base than he has now, then he's just gonna start having big pay-per-view numbers. And I think he's going to be the next guy who makes that Conor McGregor money in the UFC. Because he's just doing it. He's basically following the Conor McGregor blueprint.
I feel like Conor was fighting better fighters at this stage, though.
Well, he fought for a title in his 7th fight in the UFC. But he came into the UFC a double champ in Cage Fury. Or not Cage Warriors. Cage Warriors, yeah. So he was already like probably a little bit better and had more momentum coming into it. But in terms of like when I say Sean O'Malley's following his blueprint, he's really building himself up. He's not letting his ego get in the way of like, oh, I need to fight top guys. I'm a top guy. Nah, he's like, I'll fight on a main card. I'll fight an unranked guy on the main card,
Yeah, but
and I'll make this fucking bag. And then by the time I'm fighting all you scrubs in the top 15, I'll be like, it'll be red panty night when you fight me.
Hmm.
You know?
yeah, I'd
It's
probably do the same.
yeah, like why not?
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Should so you want to ask some of these questions?
Yeah.
The next one's Jorge versus next opponent.
Yeah, I mean, who do you think Jorge Masvidal should fight next?
He's another one of those guys. I kind of compare his situation to like where Tyron Woodley was after he lost to Kamaru. In a way, where it's like, okay, we've basically just established that you're never gonna win a title. So like, what do we do with you?
Well, he's actually lost to him twice in a row.
Yeah, it's like you're as
I
long
think
as
he
Kamaru
could either
Usman's
fight-
breathing,
he
you're
could
not gonna
either
be a
fight-
title winner in that division.
He could either fight Leon Edwards. That seems like the most likely fight they'll make. He could fight Nate Diaz again. They were thinking about doing that rematch.
That would be a big money fight.
Yeah, I would do that if I were him. I mean, Leon Edwards is more likely to beat you, in my opinion.
Yeah, what's his deal?
He's pretty good. He beat Nate Diaz.
Oh yeah, he put Nate Diaz in his place
Yeah, but then Nate sparked him at the end.
right at the end, but he didn't finish it.
Yeah, he could have.
I was talking to Manimal about that, and he was like, I was asking him why didn't he just finish him, and he was like, you know, if he went in for the finish right there, like he was being smart about it. Nate was like
yeah.
if he went in too aggressively,
He would have got rocked.
he would have been off guard and just probably gotten rocked. So like,
I don't know.
if Nate had like 30 more seconds, and that brings up that whole conversation where it's like, if fighting had no round limit,
Yeah.
Nate would be undefeated
Yeah, easily.
unless you submitted him or knocked him out. But has anybody ever knocked out Nate?
I think once.
Not
I've
in my
seen a
memory.
video
Like,
of it. It was like one time.
had to be before I was really into MMA.
Yeah, I'd say Masvidal versus Nate Diaz next.
So actually, I was listening to Chael. He said he brought up the idea of Jorge versus Conor for the BMF belt.
That could be interesting.
And he said Jorge should throw that belt around like it's a real belt. Like, hey, come fight me for this.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool idea.
I mean, it could be fun.
Like, if you just,
But
because the bad motherfucker belt is like, it's not a real championship, obviously, but it's like, you could just,
good marketing.
right, you could just swing it around like it's something to fight for.
I mean, he has like a marketing chip right in his lap.
Yeah.
So he needs to use it.
Yeah. Like,
to sell fights.
And then if you do that, like, bruh, if Conor comes back for the BMF belt, that might be an interesting fight. But Dana said Jorge's too big for Conor, which Conor would try to live up to that challenge, I think.
He said that before he knocked out Cowboy, and then after he knocked out Cowboy, Dana was like, I'm not going to question you at 170 anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I think about Conor is, like, if he just comes back and beats a guy that everybody knows, even if he's not the best guy, like a guy like Jorge, honestly, even though, I mean, not to underestimate Jorge, but he's not a contender anymore.
I mean, he is. You can't say he isn't.
I mean, you can be top ranked, but if you
he's
lose,
like one win away from being one of the guys who can get a title fight.
But how do you give him a third title fight to a guy he's lost twice to?
If he keeps winning.
Who do you think is next for Kamaru?
It's Colby.
Well, after if if Kamaru beats Colby, I mean, who do you think is next?
I don't know. It just
They said
it,
Wonder Boy maybe,
no. He just got beat by Gilbert Burns.
but he's like the only guy in the top 5 who hasn't faced Kamaru.
I don't.
And I think Kamaru wants to like do that thing GSP did where he laps his whole division 2 or 3 times to prove he's the GOAT. Because Kamaru, I don't think he's gonna try to be a double champ.
Yeah.
Now, if Kamaru faced, because in Kamaru a couple months ago, Kamaru did an interview with Kevin Durant on Kevin Durant's podcast, and they were like, "Would you ever fight Izzy?" And Kamaru's response was, "I'm not gonna fight another African because what's the point in one African having 2 belts when there could be 2 Africans with belts? But if the fight was offered and the price was right, me and Izzy would have to talk about it and just see what's up." So like he basically was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna fight Izzy, but if the price is right, I'll fight Izzy."
Yeah.
Do you think?
I don't think the UFC will pay up for that. They won't even pay up for John Jones versus Ngannou.
I mean, I don't think. I think John Jones was asking for too much.
How do you know how much he was asking for?
He said he wanted like 20 million.
That's just like
He said, "Do you
reports.
think 20 million?" No, he tweeted like, "Do you think 20 million is a lot for this fight?" Or he said something along to the tune of like, "Do you think this fight would sell over 800,000 pay-per-views?" And he was like, "I think it would do way more than that." And then he was like, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder sold 800,000 pay-per-views and they each got 40 million. So why can't I get 20 million? Something to the tune of that. So I know he was, I mean, and they said they would pay him 8 million for that fight. And he declined that and was like, "I need way more than that." So,
I don't know. I mean,
but I think that would be a huge fight. Izzy versus Kamaru.
Yeah, that would be.
Do you think Kamaru could even stand a chance?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
He could easily win that.
Easily? Explain that.
I mean, I just think I think Izzy's overhyped.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think his division has good talent.
You gotta go. You gotta elaborate that.
I mean, I just don't I don't think that's as much of it. I think 170-pound division is way more talented
Okay.
with Colby and Masvidal and Burns. They're all better than I think I mean, I don't know.
There's Robert Whitaker.
I don't know.
Gastelum. Is he in 170?
No. He's in Izzy's division.
Or that? Yeah, that's what I mean. 185.
I don't know. I just think he could. It would. I don't think it would be that out of. I don't think it's that lopsided.
And I think Kamaru has I bet him and Izzy walk around at similar weights.
I mean, Izzy's just tall and long. But
yeah, I mean, but I'm sure Kamaru could fight at 185. But there's guys at 185 who cut down from like super like. That's the weird thing about Izzy is he's like not that big of a guy, but he still pieces all these guys up. So it could be just like he's so good that he makes everybody else in his division look like weak. Because nobody even like he wasn't even breathing hard in his last fight, and he did pretty good against Jan Blachowicz.
He lost
just until the end. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. I think
that would be a good ass fight though.
I would love to see that fight.
That'd be a stud. I mean, Jones versus Izzy.
Oh yeah. So Izzy called out Jones and said basically like he's been saying he's gonna go up to heavyweight for years and years, and he's gaining all this weight. I think he's just trying to get fat. When like he should come fight me, something along those lines. In the Ariel interview, do you think what would happen if Izzy fought John Jones?
I don't know. I think it's a coin toss, to be honest. I mean, I would favor John Jones, but I mean, actually, never mind. I think John Jones easily wins that.
Yeah,
I'm tweaking.
John Jones would fuck Izzy up, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just think
He's
he's
bigger and
way
he's
more powerful, and his like a leg kick would just break that skinny ass leg of Izzy's.
yeah. I don't know. I think it. Yeah, it.
Izzy's probably just more athletic and quicker.
The thing with Izzy is like he wins his fights and he's got a ton of experience and he is really entertaining to listen to him speak. But like I don't really know if he's on that level where he's like making a run for
I don't think he
that.
beats John Jones. I don't even know if
Yeah.
John Jones competes again.
I think John Jones would fight Stipe, but
That'd
he's
be
not
good.
interested.
Yeah.
He's just like not trying to fight. How do you how do you we saw with Conor what happens when you're not active for a year.
But actually, John Jones has been inactive his whole entire career. Like he's done like 4 year breaks, like consistently. He's not like a consistent. He's
Yeah,
not
but
like Cowboy Cerrone where he's just fighting all the time.
true. But he still has a ton of fights in the past. Like he's fought over more than once per year on average.
I don't know if he has.
Yeah, I mean he has 13
He's
title defenses. So,
he's been in the UFC for a while.
yeah, but like
He's taking long breaks though.
yeah, I know. I mean when he got popped, he took a long break.
No, but throughout his career.
I don't know. I mean, I think Izzy doesn't stand a chance in that fight, but it's interesting to see him call out a guy like John Jones
Yeah. I
because
mean,
it's basically like he's
Dana
kind of
said
right.
if he can make one fight in 2021, it would be that fight. In an interview.
I mean, like if Izzy loses to John Jones, like he's supposed to. So it doesn't. But it's almost like even if he loses to John, it's still like, hey, at least you had the courage and the balls to do that. And if he
I would
does it,
watch that fight so fast.
I would. And if you perform well, if you're Izzy and you perform well and still lose, you just make yourself look really good.
Yeah.
Just because of the size advantage and who the fuck everybody thinks John Jones is.
Yeah, I agree. What else we got?
Got a lot. I'm gonna pause just really quick. Try to have a little more enthusiasm.
Bro, I'm tired as fuck.
I know, just perform.
Dude, I kind of need to go to bed.
All right, well, let's finish this up. Can you just push through?
I mean, how much longer we got, bro? I'm like losing steam.
All right, let's.
Like, I almost need to end this shit.
Let's do.
I feel it. Like, I feel my.
Let's do this Dylan Dennis one.
Yeah, that'll be decent.
Then we'll finish off. But just perform. Have some enthusiasm. You asked the question.
I'll try to phrase it.
Has Dylan Dennis come up in the media recently?
No.
Just be like, you know who's been kind of quiet?
I'll just. What do you think of Dylan Dennis? You think he's even talented MMA fighter?
I mean, he's 2-0 in Bellator. He had a lot of hype from like all these jiu-jitsu fights he won. But well, he got famous because Conor brought him into his camp for the Nate Diaz fight because he has kind of a similar build to Nate Diaz.
Yeah. He's really good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but like
I honestly think he's a clout chaser.
I mean,
I think he's trying to get rich from like boxing like Jake Paul or something.
Jake Paul offered him a fight and he didn't take it.
Yeah, and I think he regretted not taking that
I think
because
he
he was
didn't
like,
take. I don't think he like thought Jake Paul would like be where he is now, but nobody did. So like,
and now he's like begging to fight Jake Paul
yeah, I
because now
mean,
that Jake Paul's actually like irrelevant, more relevant than he is in the fighting world, believe it or not.
Jake Paul's more relevant than like
Like
pretty much everyone.
90% of the
Yeah,
fighters.
more.
Yeah.
Jake Paul is like more popular and making more noise than like top UFC fighters. Pretty
Yeah.
much everyone
I
except
think
Conor and like the Conor
he's
and
probably
Dustin
one of
fight,
the top 10 fighters right now.
like
But
popularity wise.
I don't see where Dylan Dennis.
I mean, I think Dylan Dennis would get his fucking ass beat.
Yeah,
Dylan
he's
Dennis,
terrible at boxing.
Dylan Dennis. Once Jake beat Ben Askren, there's no point in Jake boxing Dylan Dennis because Dylan's just like a little bit more athletic than Ben Askren.
And he's terrible on with
He's
his hands.
yeah,
Like,
he's like this. It's the same thing. Like you're a ground guy, you're a grappling guy,
it's like
and you're not known for your hands at all, and you're not that athletic, and you haven't fought in a while. Like it's that same guy. So and Jake
yeah,
knocked the fuck out of Ben. He probably would have done the same thing to Dylan.
that would have been embarrassing. I would have just rather seen Dylan because it's like he's more like he talks more shit. He probably would have sold the fight more than Ben.
Yeah, I think Dylan should just go back to Bellator
I just think he should just
or like start a
keep.
YouTube channel or some
Yeah,
shit. Like
he's not a fighter.
yeah, like if you were the thing is like you are what you do. I think.
He's just like I mean I think he has been injured, but he just talks crap and doesn't do anything. Like he's fought like two bums in Bellator.
Yeah, I mean, he just has a lot of clout for some reason, or it's
I
like
feel like it's
lingering.
gone. Like no one even cares what he's
Yeah,
like the boy who cries wolf. He just keeps talking trash and no one even like he's like trying to just get attention.
I think Jake like offered him a pretty good amount of money, and he declined it because he wanted more, or his
And
knee was
I think
hurt.
his knee was hurt, but I honestly just think he was scared. Like I think he's all talk. Not gonna lie. And Connor didn't even bring him into the like the Dustin camps.
I wonder why.
Maybe it was just
Like he didn't need him.
I feel like he's like all clout. Like he's just trying to get
He like
not
I think
like
he took the
trash talk,
McGregor like
but
wave
like
and
he's
just
like
ran with it.
he keeps like posting McGregor on his Instagram. Like he's just trying to like stay relevant.
Yeah, and I don't think he's that rich.
He's not.
Like
I don't think he's rich at all.
yeah,
He probably like makes like 70 grand a year.
damn.
I don't know. I
I mean, the
he
best
just
thing for him to do would be like
he just reeks like of inauthenticity. Oh no, I mean, he's like just I don't know. He seems insecure.
yeah. I mean, and he has nothing to stand on.
Like
When he
Jake
talks
Paul is so much bigger than Dylan Dennis.
like, bro, honestly, like Jake Paul is like, if he wins this fight against Tyron, like
that's huge.
he's literally like solidified.
No, he's not solidified. He's solidified in that realm of like
Dude,
celebrity boxing.
Did you know that Canelo Alvarez didn't fight a guy with a winning record till his 13th fight? Jake's fighting Jake's fighting guys that are
he's
better
not fighting
fighters.
real guys.
Okay.
He's not fighting real boxers.
Ben Askren has more boxing experience than guys Canelo Alvarez fought when he was in his second pro fight.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
I mean, all of Ben Askren's MMA career, he had to train boxing.
He said he barely did.
Okay, but like he took punches from like top level guys.
Dude, no. No offense, but I completely disagree. I mean, Jake Paul, he hasn't fought any good boxer at all.
I'm not saying he's fought good boxers. I'm saying all the guys who are top level boxers now, in their first and second fight, they fought scrubs too.
Well, yeah.
Jake's doing it on a bigger level.
He's
and
just
he's
more
actually
famous.
he's
just
putting
using
hold
his
on,
fame from his other platform.
I know he is.
Blow up these fights. It doesn't mean they're actual.
But he's actually like
There's actually
he's
skill.
taking bigger risks than most guys do, like than Canelo Alvarez did or Floyd did at his in their second fights and third fights.
Yeah.
So, which is it's interesting to think about because
I think
in boxing, what happens is like you'll get these promoters and they get behind this guy and they just make him a star, and they they position them so they'll put him against tomato cans is what they're calling it, which is like bums, and then they'll pad their records like to make them look like they're really really good and they have all these knockouts and they're undefeated, but really they've been fighting guys who retire after that fight.
Yeah.
Like, and then
I mean, it's just padding the record, but
yeah,
I mean,
Jake's not padding his record. Nate Robinson was like, but at the time we didn't know who Jake was.
He's padding
either.
his record in the sense that he's not fighting real boxers.
Yeah, but okay, Nate Robinson,
Dude,
obviously.
Nate Robinson's
that's a
trash.
tomato can.
Ben Askren's trash.
That's a challenge, though. Ben Askren's
Dude, no,
a challenge.
it's not.
Bro,
It's not. Look, he was out of shape.
Go back to how we were thinking
Bro.
right before that fight, though.
Everyone knew that was just as soon as you saw him walking out, Ben Askren, he was fat. He was so unathletic.
Okay, but
he's like
leading into the fight,
dude,
Jake was going against a UFC fighter,
no one,
and there
even,
was actually people were questioning like.
Dude, that's when you didn't think of Jake Paul as a boxer. But when you put it in the frame of Jake Paul is a boxer.
But with the benefit of hindsight.
Hold on.
Okay.
Jake Paul, let's say he is a pro boxer now. I mean, we didn't really take him like that until now, until this point.
Mm-hmm.
If he is a pro boxer, he hasn't fought anyone who's like good at all.
Okay. Here's what I'm saying. At the time leading up to that fight, Jake fighting Ben was a challenge because he had only fought YouTubers and basketball players. Now you're fighting a real pro fighter who is trained to fight against top level boxers in the UFC or top level stand-up guys in the UFC who has that experience fighting on that big of a stage. He's been champion obviously as a wrestler. That was his dominant art, obviously. I mean, but at the time that was a challenge because we didn't know who Jake Paul was and Jake Paul didn't know who he was. So now
I think Jake Paul did know who he was.
I mean, but he couldn't stand on that. He just knocked out Nate Robinson.
But he knew.
Okay, but you have confidence, but you don't know.
I think he knew.
Okay, whatever.
And honestly,
splitting hairs.
Still,
but Tyron Woodley is a better boxer.
A 40-year-old guy who hasn't lost like his last 15 rounds.
Okay,
he's
in the
old.
UFC though. Tyron Woodley is a bigger challenge than any of these top boxers faced in their third pro fight.
He's still not like a boxer. Like but he still doesn't solidify anything.
So you got to give Jake credit. He's actually challenging himself.
He's
putting him in,
he's
taking
best
risks.
Celebrity boxer out there.
I think he's actually going to fight like legit pros.
But until he does, you can't even call him like that level of a boxer, in my opinion.
I'm betting on it that he will be.
I agree. But like,
and I'm impressed by it because when you think about it, if Canelo Alvarez did not fight a guy with a winning record till his 13th fight, look who Canelo is now, right? The guy who he fought in his third pro fight retired after that fight. Jake's fighting a champion fighter who's knocked out guys before.
I mean, same with Jake Paul's second fight or third fight retired after he fought him too.
Okay, but
Ben Askren.
Now you're going against a guy who's a seasoned fighter who was a champion in the UFC. He's a legend at the 170 weight class. Like I know he hasn't won as of recent.
Old and washed up.
Yeah, but you gotta give him the props for going up against a guy like Tyron Woodley in his third fight. If he loses this fight, he basically is done.
Yeah.
If you lose to that guy, you're not gonna beat anybody better. Like you lose you lose the momentum, everything.
Yeah.
So he's posing himself it's putting himself in a real murky water.
Like a boxer, like a legit boxer.
That's why I think after this fight, if he wins,
but
he has to fight.
My point is he's not solidified then. He's solidified in that boxing. There's like celebrity boxing, and then there's like HBO boxing. Like no one watches that.
Did you see, like,
He's by far the
his hit
best
list?
celebrity boxer.
Did you see his hit list?
Um, yeah. I mean, Kamaro's on there. Conor's on there. Nate Diaz is
I
on
think
there.
Jake would beat Conor.
Bro,
He's way heavier.
that's so stupid.
He's way heavier. In just boxing, bro,
That doesn't mean anything,
it definitely does.
dude. Look at Floyd versus.
Yeah, but Floyd was smaller than Conor.
I know Floyd versus Logan.
Yeah, Logan did pretty good. And Jake's way
No,
better than Logan.
dude. Floyd messed up. Floyd like easily won that fight,
Well, yeah.
and he was
I
way
agree.
smaller.
But Logan did pretty good.
No, he didn't. He really didn't,
Logan landed punches. That's more than
dude.
he had to do.
Jake would not beat McGregor. That was the most casual statement you made.
I actually think he would.
Well,
The kid trains hard as hell,
like McGregor doesn't.
but his whole focus is boxing right now.
I don't.
McGregor's not focused on fighting. Clearly.
Dude, that's not true.
And like, I mean, maybe I don't know.
Dude, that's just not
Jake
true.
literally is like 195 pounds.
That is just not true. How is McGregor not focused on fighting?
I mean, he might
have
be.
this thing against McGregor.
I don't. I'm being objective.
No,
Yeah, I'm
that's
being
just not
objective.
true.
I'm not against Conor.
But you always say all this stuff against him.
I'm just. That's how I see it. I'm not. It's not like. I'm a big fan of Conor still.
Dude,
I'm not rooting against him. I just don't think
he didn't bring his family. He like had a closed camp in California, away from his family. All he was doing was living, breathing, eating, thinking about training.
Right, for that camp though.
His latest camp.
Yeah, but before, what was he doing before that?
Training.
But not like, I'm saying his whole focus in life right now for Jake. That's boxing. He's not even posting on YouTube. Like, his other business endeavors are on pause. Conor, it's not like he stops doing his, like, you if you want to like be successful as a fighter, your whole focus has to be fighting. You can't be like doing business all day.
That's not true. Dustin
Ask these
Poirier.
guys. Yeah, his whole focus is fighting.
No, it's not.
Most of what he does is fighting.
What he's saying lately is his new stride in this part of his career. He has literally put fighting on the back burner. He started focusing on his charity, his foundation. He doesn't even care about fighting as much anymore, and he's performing so much better. Like mentally, he's not there. He's not like
He said he put it on the back burner.
Yeah, he doesn't even like it. He doesn't that made him better.
I feel like that's not going to be sustainable.
Dude, I think he's his best version he's ever been. Because he doesn't care about it as much. It's not like,
well, there's
top of mind.
There's letting go of like.
No, dude, listen to it. Listen to the interviews.
Which one?
There's a bunch. Just as soon as he beat Conor the second time, he's like, yeah, I don't even like this anymore. He said
yeah, but he still trains all the time and
no, not really
progressing as a martial artist. That's what he said in his interview with Ariel. No. He's like, I'm just trying to focus on progressing as a martial artist. Like, yeah, he has new goals.
No, but he's not
like still living that life.
No, I don't think he is.
I don't think Conor's living the fighter life.
Well, he's living the rich fighter life. The made it fighter life.
Yeah, but I don't think he's living the same life.
Like Floyd Mayweather. He's like in the club.
Apparently he's always training. He never drinks.
Well, yeah.
Apparently Floyd's vice is training.
He got that from Logan Paul's.
Yeah, but other people say it too. Logan did say that though.
I mean, yeah.
All right. I mean, I guess. Have you heard anything about this next card?
It's not a pay-per-view.
Like the one this weekend.
Oh no.
It's kind of dead. I think Gastelum's fighting on it.
I haven't even seen it.
I'll watch it. We'll talk about it next week.
All right.
All right, cool.
See you.
Peace out.